This is the EasySMX Dune 8K. I've been using this controller for a few weeks now and I still can't decide if it's brilliant or if it's just showing off. It's got a screen on the front, RGB in the handles, a rail wrapping the entire body, this thing right here. It's got these specially designed handles that really help with ergonomics, and it also has a charging dock that kind of looks like a tiny UFO, something that really came out of Dune. It's $100 or €89. You can pre-order it right now on their website. It has TMR sticks, it has back buttons, it has extra buttons on the top, and on paper, that's a lot of controller. What I really wanted to know was whether all of this adds up to something good or whether it's just features bolted on just to stand out. It does look like something that came out of a different world though, and I really appreciate that. I appreciate that they've gone really bold with the design, and it is looking a little bit different than what we usually see with these controllers. And since you're watching SteamFlow, I've been running it on my Steam Deck too, where one of the features actually mattered a lot more than I expected. There's a lot in the box: the controller, the dock, a spare black faceplate, tower joysticks, a second D-pad, the dongle itself, a cable and a manual, and the dongle goes inside the charging dock. And I think a charging dock at this price for a controller is pretty much standard nowadays. Now, the first thing I wanted to do when I got this controller was actually to remove this faceplate and swap it with the black one. This one, I think the finish on it looks kind of cheap. It's got this shine like a toy. It looks like something that could be easily scratched. It's meant to be gold, but there's nothing gold about it, if you know what I'm saying. So thankfully they do include another one, this one, the black one, and I immediately settled on that one, and I think this one is a lot better. It's kind of hard to put this on. It goes like this. It is magnetic. Once you align it perfectly, it will go in smooth, and I think with the black one it looks a lot better. This black one has like a soft matte finish, which also is not a fingerprint magnet. Now the screen itself is. But the actual faceplate, really nice. I think the moment I clicked this on, the controller immediately felt more expensive, immediately better, and that's the one I've been using since. And there's a second reason I'm glad I switched to the black one, which I'll come back to later. The first thing you'll probably notice that's weird about this controller is this rail that goes around the hole of the bottom here. If my camera can focus, right here. Goes around the hole and the front, and it doesn't do anything structurally. In fact, if you press it over here on the side, if you press it, you can see that it gives a little. It's not removable, so it's part of the mold here. I don't think you're able to remove it. But honestly, when I first picked it up, it dug into my hands a little, and I thought this is gonna get very uncomfortable. This is not gonna be comfortable to hold at all. But a few weeks in, I don't actually notice it. It's not really digging into my hands. It's not like my fingers sit here on the bottom of it. It's really not bad. You can also kind of feel it on the back here as well. It takes some time to get used to it. And if you grip the controller really tightly, usually if that's something that you do, it might bug you, it might bother you. For me, it faded away after, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 hours of use. And I don't think the rail does anything structurally. I'm pretty sure it's just there to look like the water tubes the Fremen wear in Dune. And of course, I did test this controller a lot with Dune Awakening, and I think it was appropriate. It doesn't really do anything. It's just there for aesthetics, I guess. Most of the controller is plastic with these rubber pads on the grips here, and it suits, I think, medium to large hands. Now, these rubber pads are actually interesting too. They are inspired by natural sand patterns, and they do actually help a ton with the grip. I find that I don't grip the controller as hard because I trust the grippiness, and this is what helps not to get that rail dug into my hands. Overall, it looks weird, but it ends up being very comfortable. You can just really just hold it like this without having to close your hands around the controller. It really does help with the grip. It looks weird. I really didn't expect it to feel this good, but it is actually really good. Now let me swap back to that gold plate because I want to talk about another issue that I found with it. So the face buttons, they are micro switch and they sound great. They have a nice click to them, but playing with them, something fell off. But it took me a bit of time to place it. Now when I press a button, it kind of sinks too deep. Look at this. It's all the way under the faceplate. Kind of sinks too deep into the faceplate, like they were made a touch too short, or maybe they should sit a little taller. I don't think there's any physical difference between the faceplates, but with the black one, maybe because of that matte finish, it has something to it. But when I do the same thing on the black one, it just doesn't go, it still goes deep, but not as deep. Now, these never really gotten stuck, and because they are micro switch, you don't really have to press them that hard. There isn't a rubber pad underneath, so you can press them nicely and easily, but it's just something I just wish they were a little taller so that you can sort of press them like here from the side. You can feel the button. Because of how flush they are right now, it just doesn't have the same impact when you press them. This is the second reason I switched the faceplates. On the gold one, it is worse. The buttons barely clear the surface, so a firm press pushes them below it. The black plate sits lower, so they poke up more. It is better, but even then, I never had a situation where I wasn't sure an input actually registered. It's just something you kind of feel when you're using them. So there isn't really a technical issue with them. You will get all the button presses registered. It's just the feel is kind of off. Now the D-pad. The D-pad is really interesting. You get two D-pads, a cross style one, which I have right here, and a rounder one, which you can swap. And I think the cross one feels great. The round one, the second I put it on, it kind of felt mushy. So exact same controller, exact same switches underneath, totally different feel. And I'm gonna show you the reason why I think that happened. And the new D-pad is this style circular one. And when you do put it on, it already kind of sits higher than this one. This one is kind of more flush with the faceplate, and this one, because it sits higher, it kind of becomes a little bit more mushy. I think with the cross one, your thumb is just right on the switch, while this one sits a little bit high, and I think that's where the mushiness comes from. Just the cross one is better. It is traditional. I usually prefer traditional cross style D-pad. But in terms of overall feel of the D-pad, it is clicky, but again, it's not that level of click like the PS Vita, like my favorite one. It's really not bad. It's actually, I think it's a little bit better than the one on the Steam controller, which is definitely a little bit too mushy. Now the sticks, the one on the right, I've swapped it to a taller one. Actually, this year, since I've got to test a lot of different controllers, I found that the tall sticks are really better for you in terms of aiming. Really easy, you can just pull it off and swap it in. Now they are TMR sticks. TMR really is the technology to stay here with these sticks. Nothing really to complain about that. However, the cap here on top is plastic. So this part here, it's not rubber, I think. I'm pretty sure it's not. I think it is plastic. They have this design here, which is sort of to mimic maybe a crater or something again out of Dune. However, it being plastic, you're immediately gonna notice it. The moment you put your finger on them, you're gonna notice that they are kind of hard. However, I really actually like that because they grip so well. It's not like my finger is very hard to slip off, and if I do need to move it around like this, it's not gonna slip off. Like on some other controllers, I can do like whoop, and it slips. This one grips really nice, and I actually really prefer that. I think it's really nice. So if you hear plastic, don't let that word put you off. I think these are actually fantastic in terms of actually touching them. In games, I think they feel fine. Maybe they're not quite as sharp as the sharpest TMR sticks I felt, the Gillikit ones. Now their actual rotation is a bit light for my taste. It is very easy to get an input from them, and honestly, I don't think they're bad at all. I think they're pretty good. The bumpers, triggers on the back, and the extra buttons, I think they're all pretty nice. The triggers, you can flip them between analog and micro switch. The analog, I think, has a pretty good travel. It doesn't stop short, you know, sometimes they would stop like here. I think these are pretty good. The sync controller ones kind of hits the edge before you expect it. The way these travel is actually my preference. Up top we have the shoulder buttons, which are very easy to click at any point on the button, regardless if you're pressing them here on the edge, in the middle, up top here. And here we have N1 and M2. They're sitting higher than the bumpers, so your index finger falls right into them. So if you're pressing here on the trigger, it's very easy to move your finger and press these as well. So you can press this, very easy. And you can definitely feel the difference. Like these are shaped really nice. These are shaped differently, and these are shaped differently as well. So you can definitely tell the difference, and you can really work with all of these buttons without messing the inputs. I think these ones are really good. I think they nailed the position on these two extra buttons. It's really easy to click them. It's really easy to recognize them. They are honestly great. They also have two back buttons here, and they are padded buttons, so they're not very clicky. I think the placement is pretty standard. It falls right on my middle finger here. Easy to press. No issues there. All of these buttons are programmable, of course, and by the way, you have turbo and auto turbo, and it works for all of the buttons on the joystick. The joystick has gyro. It works. You can have it be constantly on or triggered by any of the buttons, but not any of the macro buttons, weirdly enough. You can also map it to the left or the right analog. You can adjust the sensitivity of it. But I gotta tell you, it's not the best gyro I've used. It kind of wants to snap into certain positions. It's not as free moving as with some other controllers, so just keep that in mind. Now, if you guys are enjoying this video and you want to see more reviews about cool tech, or you're into Steam, Steam Deck, Steam hardware, and gaming handhelds, consider subscribing to the channel. Okay, so the screen. This is the part I was most ready to roll my eyes at. A screen on a controller, it's not like it hasn't been done, but I've never really seen the point of that. And then I use this one, and you know, normally when you have a controller that can do gyro, that has programmable buttons and stuff like that, changing a setting on one of these controllers means holding some button combination you have to memorize, or you have to refer constantly to manual that came with the controller. Here you can use the screen and you can do all of that. So it is much nicer than it has any right to be. It looks very sharp, it's bright and sharp, and the menu does basically everything. You can select different modes here. So you have PC input, X input, D input. You get iOS, Android, Switch. You can select the different modes. You have Bluetooth. You can do config schemes. You can do stuff for the triggers, for the joysticks. You can, for example, this menu, you can change the settings on your gyro. You can select which button activates gyro. You can adjust sensitivity for gyro. You can calibrate the joystick from the screen here. You can change the LED brightness, the brightness on the screensaver. So if you can change it so that after a minute the screen goes off. The control scheme, this is probably the menu that you're gonna end up using a lot, because this here will allow you to do all sort of different programming on all of the buttons. Now, in terms of performance, I'm going to be straight with you. I didn't run any measuring tools for the polling rates. I'm not going to throw numbers at you and pretend I tested this in a lab. It is 8K. I think the 8K polling thing, this is the second 8K controller I've tested, and in the hand, it feels great. It's fast and responsive. I just can't scientifically tell you how much better it is than others and if it's worth using it as a competitive controller. The one thing I would say on connection is I think Bluetooth feels a bit laggier than the dongle or wired, which is not something specifically to this controller. Usually if you have a dongle or you use a controller wired, it will be better experience than Bluetooth. But I think for normal games, it honestly doesn't really make that big of a difference. And here's the Steam Deck part. The dongle is full size, a USB-A. So on the handheld, you need an adapter, which is kind of a pain if you want to use it with the dongle. Realistically, on the Steam Deck, this is a controller you use docked or with Bluetooth. But Bluetooth, again, is the weakest mode that this controller has, so I wouldn't use it where precision matters. I think probably docked with the dongle is the way to go for you. And if you're using an external controller on your Steam Deck, you're probably doing it because your deck is docked. It treats it like a normal Xbox controller, and because of that, you can't really remap any of the buttons in Steam input. It's just Steam input doesn't support this particular controller. There aren't that many controllers that Steam support fully within Steam input. But this is where the screen gets really useful, because you can remap the buttons or add extra buttons with the screen on the controller itself, and you can even do multiple combination of buttons with the 4 macro buttons. So I think this is a really strong point. It's not like other controllers can't do that. It's just a lot easier to do it on the controller itself, seeing what you're doing, seeing the combination you're selecting, rather than trying to select macro buttons by combination of different buttons here and then having to test that afterward to see if you got the right macro. So I think this is really great for that aspect of SteamOS and using it with Steam specifically. It doesn't connect with Steam input, but the screen kind of makes up for that. So verdict, should you buy it? I gotta tell you, this controller surprised me in more than one way. The screen is actually a great addition and is very useful. The grips I thought I wouldn't like, they turned out to be great. The plastic finish on the analog sticks is the same story. They look like they're going to be uncomfortable, but they weren't. And if you judge this controller by looks and initial feel, you might brush it off. If you spent even an hour with it, you realize it's pretty great despite some of the drawbacks. But all of that being said, at the full price, $100 or 90 euros, I can't really recommend it. Not because it's bad, but because at that money, the small stuff kind of adds up. The buttons sinking into the plate, the mushy second Dpad, the cheap looking faceplate. For $100, there are controllers that get more of the basics done right. But if it ever goes on sale, that changes. I will tell you to grab it, because what it does well, it does really well. It's comfortable once you're used to it. The triggers and shoulder buttons are excellent. That screen, I think, is really useful. So who is this for? If you really like how it looks, because the look is definitely a bold design, wait for a discount. You can buy it and you will enjoy it. But if you're gonna get only one controller and you're gonna play competitively and casually, you can get something else, which is gonna be better. I am glad EasySMX made this, because most controllers right now just look the same, but in different color. This is not afraid to experiment a bit. I just wish the fundamentals were as bold as the design. So that's gonna be it for my review of the EasySMX Dune 8K controller. If you guys enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like. If you hated it, leave a dislike and let me know what I can do to improve. And if you're into Steam, Steam Deck, Steam hardware, cool tech like this, consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.